Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Helena Sergeys. I am a plant-based nutrition coach and I am very passionate about helping you guys rediscover your inner vitality. So today I wanted to talk about a new topic that I haven't really talked about very much yet, and it is how veganism helped me to recover from disordered eating. To explain this story, we have to go back to the past to when I was a young teenager. By young, I mean around the age of 14 or 15 years old. So in this time, of course, I was in high school, and for some reason, I was very focused on how I looked, my physical body, my weight. What I don't really understand is why I was so focused on it in the first place. When I look back on pictures now, I really did not need to lose weight whatsoever. But I was so uncomfortable and I remember really wanting to lose weight. Now, of course, at this age, I was not the one deciding what I was eating at home. It was my mother. So that means that I couldn't really control what I was eating at home. But I could control what I was eating or how much I was eating at school. So I will talk to you a little bit now about what I would do as a young teenager to try and lose weight. I would go to school, I have my lunch with me, but instead of actually eating my lunch, I would throw it away. Or I would be sitting with my friends and I would kind of take little pieces of it, but I would barely eat anything and I would throw out the rest. So basically, I started controlling the amount of food that I was eating at school in the first place, but later I started doing this at home as well. And obviously, in the beginning, it worked. I started to lose weight and I was excited. The restriction of food intake is something I did for several months. I think did end up losing a few kilos, but the interesting part is I didn't notice it. I wasn't any happier. Even though I knew I lost a few kilos, I wasn't happy. I didn't see a difference and I wanted to keep losing more and more weight. But now, as you may know, what starts happening is when you restrict for a longer amount of time and you don't eat enough calories, you don't eat enough food in general in a day, your body starts to retaliate. And this is what started happening with me. So first I would do a lot of restriction and then my body started to fight against it by creating cravings. I started having intense cravings for all kinds of sweet things. I would start craving things like chocolate waffles or ice cream or anything like this. At first I was able to control these cravings. Like for example, I would come home from school and I would really want to eat a whole bag of chips. But I still had the discipline to tell myself, no, you have been restricting the whole day, you've been very successful, you can't ruin it now with eating a bag of chips. And at first, it worked. But after a few weeks, I started to give in to the cravings, So I would come home and I would actually eat the bag of chips or eat a whole packet of waffles. And of course, when this happened, I felt incredibly guilty. And I didn't really know how to handle the guilt. So what would happen is I would eat it, I would feel guilty, and then I would tell myself, okay, Helena, this was not a good day. Tomorrow is a new day. You're going to start over and you're going to restrict even more to make sure that you make up for the mistake you made in the evening. Sadly, this was the beginning of a 3-year-long binge and restrict cycle that was really going to start controlling my life. So for the next 3 years, I was stuck in this cycle. I would restrict as much as I possibly could. I would come home and I would eat everything I could find. I would eat all of it in one time and very fast too. This cycle is something that would happen over and over again. Now, of course, you're probably wondering if there was anybody who knew what was going on, and that was not the case. My friends had no idea. I think honestly that most of my friends nowadays still don't know that this was going on. My parents at first didn't know. Later, my parents started figuring out what was going on, but at first they didn't know either. And I also didn't want anybody to know because of the fear and the guilt that I was feeling. This was the most difficult part. I was feeling so much guilt and so much fear. Every time I would come home and I would have a binge, I would be so terrified of the fact that I might gain 10 pounds just from this one binge cycle. I really didn't want anybody to know. So when my parents eventually found out, they confronted me with it. And it was terrifying to me because at first I was telling them, no, I'm not doing anything. I don't know what you're talking about, because I really did not want to admit what was happening. I think one of the reasons why I also didn't want my parents to know is because I didn't want to be confronted with the fact that what I was doing was very, very horrible and was not good for my body or for me in general or for my mental health. And I knew that this was not good, but I didn't see a way out of it. So sadly, because of this, I decided to become more secretive about it. I tried to hide it as much as I could, but of course, when someone is dealing with a binge eating disorder or any other kind of eating disorder, it's hard to really truly hide it from everyone around you. So of course my parents still knew that something was going on, and it would create a lot of tension in the house. I'll give you an example. So like I always did, I would do the same thing. My parents go out of the house, I go to the kitchen and I grab all different things that I wanted to eat right at that moment. I would put on the TV, I would sit on the couch, and I would just eat. Eat non-stop. And in the moment that you are eating all of this, you don't feel any guilt, you're just enjoying, because it's basically your body telling you, I need to eat, I need more energy, I need more food. So I was just eating and enjoying the moment. And then my parents would come home earlier than I expected. I would hear them in the hallway and I would either sprint to the kitchen and try to, hide all of the evidence or all of the packages of everything that I ate. I would push it down, into the couch or under the pillows so that my parents wouldn't find it. And then my parents would come inside, they would tell me, oh, hello, how was your day? And I would act like nothing happened. And then the moment my parents would turn away, I would try to take the trash out of the couch and put it in the bin or hide it in my room. Or sometimes I would even forget that it was there. So of course, when you forget that it's there, eventually your parents will find it. So my mother, she would, put the pillows right and everything like this, and she would find this in the couch. And it created a lot of arguments. My mother was mad at me. She's like, why are you hiding this? Why is it in the couch? Just put it in the trash. And I tried to explain to her, it's because I feel so much guilt. I don't know how to deal with this guilt, so I'm just trying to hide it. I'm trying to hide the evidence. It's like I was stuck in an endless cycle and my parents had no idea how to help me, and it was just, we didn't know what to do. I did have my better moments, I had moments where I wasn't binging or where I wasn't restricting. Like for example, I remember one specific summer where I was actually doing better than normal. And at this point, I started to think, oh, maybe I'm starting to break out of this cycle. This is good. And my parents were also thinking, okay, it seems like we're making some progress here. So I really did have moments where everything would go better. But then something might happen in my life, like, like a stress trigger or an emotional trigger, and I would just go right back into this cycle. And this kept going on for 3 or 4 years. I was becoming a little bit older. I was at the age of like 17, 18, and I started to realize I need to do something about this because this is not okay. I didn't really know how, but I needed to find a way out. So what I started doing is I went on YouTube, because of course as a teenager you go on YouTube. YouTube is like the place where you find all of the information. And I started coming across a lot of videos about healthy eating. That's where I started. Tips to stop the binge eating, tips to make sure that you're not coming home with all these kinds of cravings. And I tried some of the tips and tricks, but nothing really worked very well. And then after being on YouTube for a while, I came across videos about veganism and plant-based eating. And I was so intrigued. I remember the first time I saw one of those videos, I was like, wow, this is interesting. Because I don't remember which video I saw first, but I do remember that this woman was talking about eating abundantly. When you eat plant-based and when you eat vegan, you can eat abundantly because you're eating the right foods that actually nourish your body in a good way. It's like my brain made a click. I was like, wow, this seems very good. This is really what I want, I want to be eating everything that nourishes my body and not feel like I'm restricted. Because the way I was eating for the past 3 or 4 years, I was getting very sick of it. This is where we come to the same point that I talked about in my previous video. It's the moment that I started doing more research on YouTube, and I also came across documentaries like Earthlings. I talked about this in my previous video. It had a huge impact on me, and I went vegan. Going vegan really saved me from my eating disorder. For me, being able to eat abundantly and being able to eat everything that I want until I'm satisfied, as long as it's vegan, of course, it gave me a way out of this binge and restrict cycle that I was in. It gave me a way out, and I was so happy about it. I was feeling like this is what I needed. This truly saved me, and I felt so much better. And you know, a lot of people say that when they first go vegan and they eat more, that they gain quite a bit of weight. But that's actually not the case for me. So I started eating more, I really did, but I did not gain weight. My body was just incredibly happy. Something I actually didn't mention more in the beginning of the video is that during all of these years of, like disordered eating basically, obviously my eating was not good at all, but the strange part is it didn't really affect my weight. My weight has always been healthy. My weight really never fluctuated much, even though I had very regular binge cycles where I would eat a lot of food and a lot of calories and a lot of unhealthy food. I don't really know why. Maybe it was because I was a teenager, I was cycling to school every day, I was active, I was doing dance and all things like this. This could be the reason why, I'm not sure, but my weight never really changed. But then, of course, what about the cravings? Did they actually disappear? Yes, they disappeared. Just by me eating enough foods, the cravings simply stopped. That's why I truly believe that when you give your body actually enough food in the day, you don't crave all these sweet things. And I still notice it now. When I have a day when I don't actually eat enough, in the evening I want to eat more, or I want to eat a piece of chocolate, or I want to eat some chips, and I start feeling these little cravings again. But when I eat enough throughout the day, I never feel like I need to have some kind of snack. It just doesn't happen. The cravings just simply don't happen. So yes, no more cravings, and I am incredibly happy about it. I truly feel more free. I feel free in what I'm eating. I feel happy with the way my body is. I love my body. I nourish my body in the right way, and I am just so grateful that I came across plant-based eating, because if I would still be stuck in this cycle, I don't know honestly what my life would be like. Because it wasn't fun. It created so much stress for me. It created so much stress for the people around me, especially my parents. So I can't be happier that I found a way out by becoming plant-based or by becoming vegan. It's just honestly the best thing that I could have come across at this time. So that's the end of the video. If you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed listening to, my past eating disorder and how I got out of it, please like the video. That would be very nice. If you would like to contact me, you can find my information down in the description box, and I will see you next week. Bye!